Let's just jump right into it with a wild question. What if the sky, the one thing you take for granted every single day, wasn't real? What if you found out it was all just a fake? Well, for the people living on the islands of Kell and Kell, that wasn't some philosophical puzzle. It was their reality. Their sky was a thing, a solid object, a gigantic bowl, sealing their entire world off from everything else. And the story of how they found out the truth is one for the ages. This is the strange tale of Vell and Kell.
You see, for generations, the 10-line people have been pushing the limits of their world. And their most powerful rocket? It finally found the edge. But 900 miles up, the blue sky just vanished. It was replaced by this blinding white light and crazy turbulence. Until, bam, a massive crash. They'd gone right through it.
And when the crew turned their ship around to look back, you can just imagine the shock. They were staring at a colossal white shell, almost 100 feet thick, stretching out as far as they could see. And right in the middle of it, a huge, jagged hole that they had just created. Down below, on their home islands, the sky literally began to fall. So you have to be asking, how does an entire civilization end up living inside what's basically a giant snow globe? To answer that, we have to go way back, deep into their history, to an ancient war that decided everything. Okay, so ages ago, the islands were shared by two very different groups. On one side, you had the Augustines. They were aggressive, industrial, and they built these absolutely monstrous weapons. On the other side were the 10 lines. They were the total opposite, peaceful farmers who placed all their faith in a divine power they called the Great One. And that faith was about to be put to the ultimate test. The Augustines launched this brutal surprise attack, and the 10 lines were almost completely wiped out. But then, in their absolute darkest hour, something bizarre happened. Some indescribable thing rose out of a river. A thick mist rolled in. This awful ringing sound filled the air. And then, everything just went black. When the light finally came back, the Augustine army was just gone, vanished, turned into piles of fine dust. In the centuries after that miracle, the 10 lines flourished. They became incredible engineers. They built these amazing subterranean travel tubes. But they always seemed to hit invisible walls. Their ships couldn't go more than 20 miles out to sea without being destroyed by massive whirlpools. And their rockets, no matter how high they flew, were always funneled into this narrow path by violent whirlwinds. They were brilliant, but it was like they were living in a cage they couldn't see. Which, of course, brings us right back to that rocket crash. Because punching a hole in the sky didn't just break a physical barrier. It shattered their reality and forced them to make a choice that would tear their entire society apart. Discovering the truth split everyone right down the middle. Most of the population decided to stay. They saw that the pieces of falling sky were getting smaller, and they convinced themselves that the shell was healing itself. They figured the Great One would protect them. But a small group, just a few thousand people, saw it differently. They believed the whole thing was going to collapse, and that the Great One gave them brains to save themselves when they had the chance. The day the ships left was heartbreaking. You had neighbors, friends, even families being split up over this impossible choice. It's all summed up in this one gut-wrenching line that a man said to his own brother as they parted ways, probably forever. So that was it. The exodus began. A fleet of ships filled with the hopeful few aimed for that hole in their sky and just went for it, flying out into the great unknown. And what they found on the other side? Wow. It was beyond anything they could have possibly dreamed of. A real world. It was endless and vibrant and green. For the first time ever, they saw mountains. They saw a sky that never ended. And the best part? Food grew everywhere, with zero effort. It was, without a doubt, a paradise. But here's the thing about paradise. It can be dangerous. When you have everything you could ever need, when food just appears and life is easy, what's left to do? What's the point? Without any struggle, the brilliant, hardworking 10 lines just stopped. They got lazy. Their drive just sort of dissolved away. So they'd escaped their prison, they'd found a perfect new home, they thought they were safe, free, and set for life. But that strange, ancient power that had shaped their entire history, yeah, it wasn't done with them yet. One afternoon, out of nowhere, a familiar mist started to creep out from the trees. It was the exact same deadly fog from their ancient legends, and with it came that same deafening, pounding noise. The very same power that had saved them once had now come back for them.
It was total chaos as the fog rolled in. In the panic, one family, a man, a woman, and their kids, managed to duck into a small cellar and pull the door shut. They huddled together in the dark, listening to the screams outside, until there was just this terrible, complete silence. Sometime later, the father fell asleep, and he had a strange dream of a naked man and woman in a beautiful garden. And in the dream, he heard himself give them their names, Adam and Eve.
So what was this thing? Was it some kind of protector, or was it more like a gardener, just pruning a branch of civilization that had stopped growing? The story doesn't give us any easy answers. It just leaves us with that final haunting question. Was this whole incredible saga of being trapped, of struggling, of escaping, just the prequel to another story, one we all know? What do you think is going on here?